Hello friends, it's John Lone King, and thank you for joining me today for this week's episode of From Profits to Properties, where I help you with tactics and tips to grow your profits beyond your wildest dreams, and then help you convert those profits to long-term wealth through investing in real estate. So if you're looking to buy your primary home, a second home, or invest in lots of homes through becoming a landlord, I'm here to help guide you through that process every single week. So today we're going to talk about opportunities versus obstacles. And the funny thing is, in life, most things can be viewed both ways. It depends on your perspective, depends on how you look at it, and it depends on how you address the issue. And so the first thing I'll tell you is conflict. Healthy conflict is probably the number one thing that you need to be improving as a skill in your life and in your business. Because if you have healthy conflict, you can address a lot of issues, and it will help you sometimes through facing the conflict to find the opportunity on the other side of the obstacles. So this week, tomorrow, literally, by the time you're listening to this, it might even be after it's happened, but tomorrow the Federal Reserve is expected to start lowering interest rates again. And I had a healthy debate just recently with some other business owners about, well, is that good news or is that bad news? And if we lower interest rates, that creates an obstacle for people who are retired, people who are have their money invested and need to have stable long-term growth through their investments, and that's a bad thing. And then I looked at it and said, well, but wait a second, where is the average American's wealth held right now? The average American's wealth is held in real estate. And so when you're thinking about the situation of interest rates coming down, and you can say, well, gosh, over the last few years when rates are high, that's really helped people to make more money on their assets, specifically on savings accounts and CDs and bonds, and retired people have a lot of money in those vehicles. Yet you look at it and say, yeah, but that's a small portion of the wealth of the average person in the United States. And so you're in a situation where you're saying, well, if I do this thing, it could be an obstacle. But I also could look at the same thing as an opportunity. If interest rates are high, well, that's an obstacle for people who are trying to buy homes, but it's an opportunity for those who have money to save and invest. If interest rates come down, that's an obstacle for people who have money saved that want to invest it, unless they're investing maybe in the stock market, because often as interest rates come down, fixed assets, the bond market, well, that's a negative. But the stock market, it's a positive. For the housing market, it's a positive. And so you might have your wealth distributed in many different areas. And so the question is, are you looking at that as a positive or a negative? And what I'll challenge you is to figure out how to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. Now, this is going to be one of those episodes where I'm kind of going to cross both avenues between my investor audience and my business owner audience. And if you're both, that's perfect. But I'm kind of just talking to all of you at once, because whether you own a business and run the business, whether you're a salesperson in commission only, or whether you're retired and just looking at growing your real estate portfolio, and that's why you're listening, or you're my mom and you listen because you feel like you have to. The truth is, I have a little bit of something for everybody. So I'm not breaking this up into two segments. This one's simply going to be me ranting a little bit about where you can find obstacles and turn them into opportunities. And I think it starts with evaluating, how else can I look at this obstacle? How else can I treat the issue that I'm up against? And how else can I make lemonade out of lemons, right? So that is an old adage that you've got to think about in your life. You've got, I've got investors right now who are lamenting the fact that, hey, the value of my real estate portfolio is declining because housing rate values are starting to drop. Well, it is true. Housing values are starting to drop. And so some people are saying, oh my gosh, I want to liquidate. I want to sell now before prices drop further like they did in 2008. I don't see this as being a repeat of 2008. 2008, everybody had adjustable rate mortgages and they had to refinance. Today, everybody has fixed rate mortgages and they don't have to refinance. But prices are dropping. And so you could be in a situation where you can say, hey, that's an obstacle. I need to get out of owning real estate. Or you can look at it as an opportunity and say, I need to buy more real estate because you're seeing prices drop. I'm seeing builders lowering prices significantly right now. That is bad news for the people that bought in the last 6 or 12 months. It's great news for those of you who have the opportunity to buy another property. Even if you already bought something, you're like, hey, I've pretty much bought all that I want to buy. Dollar cost averaging can be played on the big scale too. Dollar cost averaging is, hey, just keep buying over and over again, because sometimes you're going to buy high and sometimes you're going to buy low. But if you keep buying, whether it's high or low, your dollar cost averaging, bringing the average cost of the investment down. If the value of a stock keeps going up and up and up, then if you just buy consistently, you're buying some at a lower price, and as the price goes up, you're buying more, and the price goes up and you're buying more, and the average cost is far below if you bought everything all at one lump sum. But that's only if prices are going up. If prices are going down, you're saying, John, that doesn't apply. Yes, it does. Because if you're buying more at a lower price, you're bringing down the average cost that you spent to buy each unit. I have another friend of mine who bought a property 6 months ago with a new home for $330,000. They're buying exactly the same model right now for $265,000. I'm not going to mention where. I'm not trying to sell real estate. I'm not talking about a particular market. I'm just saying that friend said, hey, I could be upset about what I bought the property for 6 months ago, or I can see the opportunity and say, hey, maybe I'll sell something else over here and do a 1031 exchange. And I'll buy this other one because that's a huge opportunity for me to pick up a home that is going to perform really well in rents compared with what I was currently getting in rent to property value in the original property. So you need to look at the changing environment that we are in. Lots of things are changing. Unfortunately, lots of businesses are shrinking. Trucking industry, I've talked about it before. The trucking industry is going through some challenges. And so I've got some of my clients that are in trucking saying, hey, I'm pulling out. I'm going to do something else. I used to have 3 businesses. Now I have 1. I'm only in this other business. I'm not doing trucking anymore. I've got other of my clients that are saying, John, what can you do to help me get a hold of cash? I need money as much as I can because I want to grow my equipment, the amount of equipment that I have for my trucking business, because trucking equipment's on sale. Because everybody who's in trucking right now is pulling out. And so I can invest in buying the equipment. I may not be able to make a lot of money off that equipment right now, but when the market turns around, I own the equipment. I'm ready to move forward and make this happen. There's a story, and I cannot remember what the story was, and there's no point in me going down the road, but I'm going to go down the road anyway. There was, it's a very well-known product, and maybe it was 3M in their Post-it notes. I'm pretty sure it was. And they couldn't put a patent, whatever it was, the company couldn't put a patent on, let's just pretend I'm right, and let's pretend it's the glue that was used for Post-it notes. So I'm pretty sure that is the case, but I'm sure you're going to tell me I'm wrong. But they couldn't patent it, and so they said, well, gosh, once we produce this and put it out there, then everybody's going to be able to copy it. But there were only 3 companies in the United States that could make that glue, that had the equipment necessary to make that glue, whatever that was. So they bought those 3 companies. So they didn't have a patent on the actual glue. Again, I'm pretending this is a story. I'm sure I'm wrong. But they didn't have a patent on that exact thing. So what they did instead was buy the only companies that had the infrastructure to make it. And so now they cornered the market, not because nobody could build what they had designed, but because nobody literally could build what they had designed unless they started from scratch, building the entire manufacturing plant. And that wasn't worth it for for a competitor to come in and buy the plant. And so somebody coming in and saying, hey, I'm buying all the trucks in the trucking industry. Well, they're going to be in a position where once trucking comes back, they're going to have the equipment that all they have to do now is hire the drivers, and they're going to get the jobs, and they're going to make a significant amount of money. Why? Because they're looking for opportunity instead of obstacles. So it's the housing market, it's the economy overall, it is the people that have lost their jobs that are saying, you know what, I'm going to go stand in the unemployment line and hope and woe is me. And the other ones that say, you know what, no, I'm going to go do something different. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to turn my side hustle into a real business. I'm going to go all in because what have I got to lose? That is not an exciting position to be in, but it often is the reality of the position that you're in. And so when you're facing that position, you can say, I'm going to curl up in a ball and I'm going to cry about the obstacles that are in front of me. Or you can say, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to find the opportunity within these obstacles, looking for the silver lining, looking for what you can use out of what is happening bad now to turn your position better later. And you have to really look at postponing your gratification, saying, what can I do different now? How can I scale down? I went through that. My industry is anti-cyclical. We, during COVID, were super busy while everybody else was shutting down, working from home. If you were in the hospitality industry, you were unemployed, and we were super, super busy. And then in the last 3 years, the economy's picked back up. Things have been good. Inflation was kind of high, but wages were going up. Employment was really strong, and my industry was doing horrible. Okay. Now we're heading into a position where interest rates are starting to come down again. The properties are starting to move more. Refinancing is happening. My industry is getting really busy again as the economy is starting to come down. But the truth is, whether my timing matches your timing or not, the cycles remain the same, which is over the last 3 years, I had to tighten my belt. A lot of people in my industry got out of the industry. I looked at it not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to double down on growing my team, an opportunity on figuring out how to be more efficient in running my operation so that I can be lean and survive during those down months. And now that things are picking up again, I can keep that same lean mentality so that now I can be more profitable because I don't have to waste like I did previously when the money was coming in and it didn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter, but I think in business, in life, in your household budget, you do things simply because you've always done them. And sometimes it's healthy to have a cleanse. It's healthy to have a time when I have to change. I have to do different. I have to cut back. I have to figure out that I don't need Netflix and Amazon Prime and Spotify and YouTube TV and Hulu and Disney Plus. Maybe, just maybe, one or two of those can satisfy all of our needs since you don't watch most of them most of the time. I'm not picking on where you're spending money. I'm giving you an example of how you can take adversity, where you can take an obstacle and turn it into an opportunity by just looking at it in a different way and saying, hey, this is my catalyst. This is my catalyst to pay attention, to go through my budget and look at it line by line, not to nitpick and say, oh my gosh, I'm only allowed to spend this much money. That's a method that might work for some people. But for me, it's more about, why am I spending this money? I don't even pay attention to it when things are good. And so when things aren't good, you need to pay attention so that you then can keep paying attention even when things get good again. That cleanse puts you in a better position going forward. Why? Because we're finding the opportunity within the obstacles. Whether you are a landlord, whether you are a business owner, whether you are anything in between, you have to decide, what am I going to learn? Never, ever, ever lose a lesson. Another good friend of mine has always said that. He says, no matter how bad things go, no matter what happens, I was taught a long time ago, never lose the lesson. Everything you're going through in life, there is a lesson there for you. You can choose to see it or you can choose to miss it. And if you miss it, you missed out on the most important part, which is figuring out how to grow from this and how to be better and how to make sure this doesn't happen again, or how to steel yourself against the challenges you ran into this time so that you don't run into the same challenges next time. You know, when I hire new staff, and I'm in the process of recruiting right now to hire some new staff, business is growing, business is good. And I tell new staff all the time, I say, look, I want you to run as fast as you can. And I want you to break things. I want you to make mistakes. I will not get mad at you for making a mistake. I'll get mad at you for not making a decision. I want people to take action. I want you to do something. In action, you will make some of the wrong decisions, but you'll also make some good ones. And often in life, a few really, really good decisions make up for a whole bunch of bad decisions. And so the moral of that story is just make more decisions. Take more action. Doing nothing takes you nowhere. Standing still means you're not moving at all, obviously, John. But the fact is, you have to take action. You have to realize that negative consequences are going to happen from taking action, but there is a lesson you can learn from the negative consequences. And if you miss the lesson, you've missed the point. And so what's my point with all of this? My point with all of this is, look, we're facing some adversity. We're facing a changing environment within the economy. The jobs market has shown it's not as resilient as what the federal government thought that it was, and that there's a lot fewer jobs being created, and that's creating some challenges for people. That's creating some challenges for the economy. That is slowing growth. And so the question is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to position yourself as you look at these obstacles and you say, I'm just going to stand still and hope nothing happens to me? Or you can say, I'm going to look for the opportunity. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to step in 3 different directions, hoping that at least one of those is full of opportunity that'll make up for maybe some negative steps that come with the other 2. You never know which door. You never know which door is going to lead to the greatest outcome. So open all 3 of them. Step through all 3 of them and take action. If you're paying attention, if you keep your head up, your eyes forward, scanning the horizon, you will see which things are going to create the best opportunity. I don't know what I was listening to the other day, but I was listening to something and it just popped into my head when I'm thinking about your head up and scanning around. And there was, I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was a guy talking about the fact that he's about to go into battle and he needs to decide who his soldiers are going to be that he's going to bring into battle with him. And he I don't know if he's talking to God or if he's talking to a mentor or whatever, but he said, how do I choose who my soldiers are that go into battle with me? And he goes, it's easy. Take them all down to the river to have a drink of water. And so he takes them all down to the river to have a drink of water. And you see very quickly that some of the men just lay down flat on their stomach and they slurp up the water and they're just focused on what's in front of them and the immediate gratification. And then some men are still paying attention to what's going on around them. Some men are, and I don't mean men from a gender perspective, but some people are eyes up, paying attention to what opportunities are in front of them, paying attention to what's happening around them. And he said, those are the soldiers you want on your side. Those are the people that you want fighting for you and with you because you are in a battle. Life is a battle. And so we have to keep scanning the horizon. We can't just focus on the nice, refreshing water that's in front of us and leave ourselves vulnerable to the challenges that are going to happen. Another mentor told me a long time ago that you're always in one of three stages in life. Either you're heading into a storm, you're in the middle of a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. And the key is to act like the buffalo. So buffalo, when he is in a storm, the buffalo walks towards the storm. So if the storm is heading from west to east, the buffalo is walking west. All the other animals run the other direction. They see the storm coming from the west and they run east, but the buffalo runs west right into the storm. Why? Because the storm passes the buffalo faster when you're going the opposite direction. Okay, if the storm's going this direction and the buffalo's going this direction, they're going to pass each other faster. The buffalo gets out of the storm faster because it is taking action. The animals that stand still, they stay in the storm longer. And the animals that run away from the storm, those are the ones that stay in the storm the longest because they keep trying to run away from it. And all that means is you're going the same direction. The storm is overtaking you and you stay in the storm longer. Be the buffalo. Charge into the storm, figure out what is your storm, what are your obstacles, and how are you going to overcome them, and then take action. Do not cower, do not run away from the storm. Focus on the storm, pay attention to where your next storm is coming from, and then fight with everything you got to get yourself out of it. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you appreciate it. If you like this episode, please share it with anybody else that you know that would appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.